How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we've got another of our discussion videos for Fusion World, and this time I thought I'd go over a useful topic being understanding the different colours in Fusion World. Because if you didn't know, there are different colours in Fusion World, 4 different colours currently, and they all do something different, and they have kind of different levels regarding like beginner to like expert, and like a level of like how like user friendly they are, and kind of what they each do. So I thought to help out people who are like trying to get into the game or like trying to understand better the game, it might be a nice way to kind of go over them and kind of explain about them a little bit. So before we get into the video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the video, video and the channel greatly, especially if you go ahead and subscribe. It keeps you updated with my videos as when they drop. If you get a notification bell, you can get alerts when my videos do drop there and then to watch them then, or at a later time when you're able to. So with that out of the way, and hopefully you've done some of those things, we'll go into the video and discuss the 4 different colours in the game. So like I said, there are 4 colours, and I say so far because in set 3 we'll be getting a 5th colour being black, so we'll have the same colours we have in Masters, and the colours are red, blue, green, and yellow. They each have a different way to play, and we'll be going over each of them, like basically explaining about how like user-friendly or like not user-friendly they are, and kind of what they each do. So we'll start off with the first colour, and that'll be red. So start off with red. We've got the 3 leaders for the currently, because we're currently in set 1, so we've got the 3 different leaders, and we'll be getting another one in set 2, and we'll also get another one in, well, at least another one in set 3. But currently we have the Star Deck Goku, which is well, the starter deck, what you want to get the starter deck, and the other 2 from the first set being the U7 Goku and Beerus. So Goku does take up 2 characters for the red decks, but these kind of like do a good way of like kind of showcasing what the identity of the color is, because you got Goku, who's a one-time boost to any battle card offensively or defensively for his athlete battle. We've got U7 Goku being the SSB Goku in the middle there, who has a like basically gives a flat-out boost to all U7 ones, so is more focused on a trait, and gives a 5k boost to any Unit 7 card you play. And you got Beerus, who once per turn, when he's awakened, can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, minus about 10k power, like just showing one of the identities of red being like basically minusing power. So those are the leaders we have, and they all represent like they have a good way to play. Like while the starter deck Goku doesn't seem as great as the U7 Goku, at least with the U7 Goku is always focused around U7, which luckily is quite a bit in the first set. Whereas the Ever Goku, the Star Deck one, more just gives off like a boost no matter what trait the card has. Just gives a 5k boost offensively, defensively, but only gives it a one-time use. And while Beerus here shows as the attacking, he is the crit leader on the unawakened side, his front side. He has critical instead of drawing a card, so while he doesn't draw cards like the other 2 do on both sides, he can still deny pressure, even put through crit pressure, which sometimes can fluster people as well when it comes down to playing against them. So with the colors as well, they kind of have like red has like 3 different identities in one. It's all about power manipulation, because he doesn't really care about cost or anything, just cares about manipulating power. While also being the color that has like most of the crits involved as well. So red is all about like reducing the power of cards, increasing the power of cards, and also critting your opponent as well, making it so if they take, because what crit does, it's explained on the Beerus here, is when a card with critical inflicts damage to an opponent's life, it's placed in the drop area rather than going back to their hand instead. Because like Dragon Ball has like the grit, like the opposite of Pokemon in terms of a fight back mechanic, where rather than like Pokemon, the more you're winning, the harder you're winning because you get more cards to do things. Dragon Ball has a fight back mechanic where as you take damage, you get more cards to kind of help you fight back and defend and kind of bring back, like, take control back of the game. So with red, it's all about power manipulation and critical, which is critically showcased here in some of the good cards in the color. And also, it's focused around, unlike the other ones, it's focused around 3 different traits. Because you've got the focus heavily on U7, as seen with the U7 Goku, and you've got the extra card here. Like U7 is one of the main traits in the in red, and you can see what traits cards have by the bottom of the cards in the little bottom bar. It shows the traits any card has, and everything's got a trait. Even fill cards and extra cards have traits as well, which is a little bit different to Masters if you come from there. And it also has a big focus on Universe 6. Like, the funny thing with Red is it's got a lot of Universe 6 cards, but it's got no Universe 6 leader. So, unlike Universe 7, which has a huge pool for its trait, and then a leader to kind of like mesh well with it, U6 doesn't have that. It's a load of good cards, which don't really go too well in like kind of a odd thing to have, like an archetype without lead. And then we've got the one that is like technically the third like coverage, like it's split into three for this one, and that is revolved around angels. But there's not much revolved around this. Like it's once again it's like a even like more minority than compared to Universe 6, whereas you've got some angel cards, but nothing meld together, and there's nothing really support them. So it's kind of like a lot of filler in like forms of the Universe 6 cards and angel stuff, while the rest of it is like the main like the actual canon stuff being Universe 7. So it's an odd color where it's kind of got three different archetypes focused around it, like basically in the color, but only one that's properly supported, one that's got a good amount of stuff but not really supported, and one that's like just a little bit there. And then he's also got some removal. And luckily for removal in red, unlike the rest of the colors, it doesn't. Well, unlike most of the colors, it doesn't care about the cost of cards. Whereas most removal from other colors, it cares about the cost of cards. Some can hit like you got something green that can hit anything, blue that can hit certain costs. But red doesn't really care about the cost. It more cares about power. Like as you see on the Goku here, the Gokameha and Time Skip, they all don't care about the cost of the card, just what power it's got. So given that red's the manipulation color, it basically you can manipulate the power of a card to be lower than if like it doesn't meet the criteria for any of these cards. You can manipulate it using power reduction and things like that to minus the power of cards, so you that way within range of these. So if you've got something that's 25k power and it's just 5k out of being hit by this Goku, reduce it down by 5k with an effect, and now you can hit it and KO it with this Goku. And same with like Gokameha, and then Time Skip is one that you can use to like hit multiple number of cards, because you can choose any number of cards up to a certain power cost. If you've got multiple cards and you reduce them by a little bit, you can get a lot more things in with one card. And that's one nice thing about red, is it doesn't care about the cost of the card. You can have a big costing card, it doesn't care about that, just cares about the power, which is like one big benefit of red. But that is basically it about red. So red is all about is red is more of a easy one, like a beginner friendly one that's hard to like kind of master, because it's quite simple and like just trying to be very aggressive, build a board. All favorite characters as well from the U7 being like the main ones people see in the show. But trying to master it, like trying to figure out, because it's got a lot of its good cards have, on its like high rarity cards, have zero combo costs. So it's very good to be aggressive, but basically defending is a little bit harder with like the low power costs. So like when it comes to deck building, it's a bit more challenging, but it's very simple, and I quite have a favorite one to play, because it's similar to across most modern deck games, where it's quite the aggressive color. So if you're interested in this, it's a good one if you're just starting in the game, but it might be a little bit harder to kind of get to master it and do a bit better with it coming to deck building and playing. So now that we've got red out the way, let's go and have a look at blue being the next color we have. So with blue, these are the three leaders you get for blue currently for set 1. You've got the Star Deck Vegeta being one that basically can boost himself quite high power just on its own to put some bit of pressure on. You've got Trunks here, which allows you to kind of like set your opponent back to turn by bouncing something on board, either yours or your opponent's. That's 3 cost or less back to the hand. And you've got Goku Black here being the crit leader that's got a heavy archetype around its own stuff, be able to make Goku Black stuff cheaper by removing your Zamasu cards. Now these have like Goku Black is the more archetype focused one, like similar to the Goku in red. It's got like a big feature regarding its own archetype. It's a little bit more heavier and not as great compared to U7, but also being a crit leader and with some of the stuff in blue, this is one of the more generic, like annoying ones that you could play, and ones that probably you can build a lot cheaper. Whereas the Vegeta and Trunks are the draw leaders and can do quite well, but they also have a lot of things in blue being restricted to a certain hand size. So these are the leaders, and we'll have a look. And basically, the focus of blue, like his identity, is all about bouncing cards off the board to different areas, be it in the hand or bottom deck. Like if it is Trunks here, it can bounce a 5 cost or less back to the hand. And this once again, blue is like outside of red. Most other colors have like a cost restriction when it comes to like what they can remove with their removal. So like Trunks here, he can bounce back a 5 cost or less back to the hand. You've got the Vegeta here being one of the SRs from the starter deck, being it can bottom deck a card, it's 4 or less, so you can bounce things back to the hand, back to the bottom deck, and you can also do recursion as well. Like you've got Pilaf here, which when played, if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, you can add a cost, or basically a card with a cost of 1 less at your opening trait from his drop to your hand, so you can kind of get back from the drop and kind of keep your hand mid. You got this, you got some extra cards as well that can kind of like replace himself to keep the hand, like almost like you see in Masters, where you can use a card but it replaces itself, so you're not losing from hand. And that's the nice thing about blue. It doesn't keep a huge hand. Well, it doesn't always keep a huge hand, but it can kind of keep a steady, good size hand. And as well as that, you've got some pretty nice like battle tricks in blue. Like blue has some pretty good battle tricks. You've got Ganic Gun, which is the only kind of battle trick that replaces itself, because you get to give 15k to every color's got one of these, which allows you to give 15k power to either a leader or battle card for combat for the battle by paying 1. But this one is the only one that really replaces itself, because if you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, you then basically draw a card. I mean, you replace yourself. So you use the Ganic Gun, then draw back a card, so you've lost 9 in hand. For the other ones, you'll use it, but not draw back. You have a different effect. So having things like this and having this recurable as well is quite nice. And you have Final Hope Slash and Black Kamehameha being some like more powerful battle tricks, but have a restriction to when they can be played. Like Final Hope Slash is like an aggressive one, where it is only be usable during your turn, whereas Black Kamehameha is defensive, but you're using your opponent's turn. And both of these allow you to give a card just like Ganic Gun a power boost, being 20k rather than 15k. So a lot stronger, but more restrictive when you can use them. And they have other effects, like Final Hope Slash is like a nice one because it's got a loop with Pilaf, where this is a target for Pilaf to grab back, and this allows you to bounce back Pilaf so you can keep going. Play Pilaf to grab this, swing with a card, use this to bounce Pilaf back, so you can kind of have an infinite loop. And this is why with blue you don't really care too much about hand size, because you can always recur things and keep a steady hand size with some good cards. And then Black Kamehameha is a more defensive one that allows you to kind of like predict the future by scrying, which is looking at the top cards of your deck and kind of rearranging them. Like with this one, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and place them either at the top or the bottom in any order. So you can rearrange the cards, and if you don't like any of them, you can just shove them at the bottom of the deck so you can cycle through your deck quicker. Because there's no shuffling in this game. You don't shuffle things like you do in Masters. There's always just shuffling the cards together that you have and put them at the bottom of the deck when you do any searching and things like that. And then we got the last bit being removal. So blue does have some really good removal in this, but the only problem is it's very restrictive on what the costs are, and it doesn't hit high enough, which is why it struggles against green, because it can't go higher than 5 costs. And only really green has the cards that are like higher than that you want to deal with, while the other colors are like quite around about 5 and less when it comes to their cost. So you've got Goku here, which is one of the only cards in blue that can remove cards no matter what the cost, but it's got a heavy cost to it, being that you need to bounce one of your 4 costs or more cards in hand, and since you can't really cheat things out currently in the game, be able to like having the bounce back a 4 cost, unless you've already used it, it's been there for a turn and you've got use for it so you can play it back. You don't really want to be bouncing back, but it can bounce back anything. But the only problem is the removal is not permanent, it just bounces back to their hand, meaning they can drop a card again if it's got on play, they can get used to that again. You also have the Sinister Sickler on the far right, and this is one that can get more value out than its cost, because with 3 energy you can then bounce back 2 of your opponent's battle cards that cost 4 or less, so you can get potential 8 cost of removal from this down to 2 4 costs. But it does cost 3, so it is quite costly and will take up most of your turn using this. But you get the clear board, which is really nice against like both red and yellow, but not so great against green, because considering that his cards are more like costly than that. And you got Final Flash being the one that hits the 5 cost and stuff. Is a bit more costly in the fact that you got to discard a card from it, but you can lower the cost if you've got a low size hand of 7 or fewer, which is kind of like a gimmick for blue, being like 7 or fewer cards is on a fair few cards, so it's a cost and requirements. But this allows you to bottom deck, and like both Sinister Sickle and Final Flash allow you to bottom deck, meaning it's out the way to the bottom of your opponent's deck, so unless they can draw back into it, they can't get access to it. But you do have to discard a card from your hand, and it only hits 5 or less, which is still decent in the end there. So blue is a more like intermediate color where like you can play, like you can get into it. It's not so beginner friendly considering like the combos and like choices you have and like different little loops you can do. But once you get used to that and like kind of put some practice in, it can be quite a good deck and do quite well, and it could be quite advanced, because if you can put together and like build it correctly, you could do quite well. But it's not the most beginner friendly. That comes to the next color being green. So let's have a look at green and see the leaders. So for leaders in green, you've got Broly for the start deck one. So Broly's the start deck lead. And then you've got Gohan and Androids being the set 1 leads. Now these are all draw leaders. So in green, there's no critical leader, unlike the other colors. All other colors have a crit leader, but green doesn't. They all have leaders that draw on both sides, but not always by attacking. So you've got Broly here. He's the stronger of the ones. So these are ones that have these are normally like the strongest color in the game for green because of what it does, which we'll get into in a bit. But then they all draw cards. So you got Broly here, which when he awakens, he's a 25k base, meaning he's a lot stronger, but he doesn't have an on-player draw, on attack draw card one like the other ones do. It kind of loses that when awakened due to having a higher base stat of 25, but it does still have draw in his activate main, but it kind of goes against what the whole identity of green is, which is a ramp. So you need to sack off an energy Like by basically paying for your energy to your drop, just to draw a card and give yourself a boost. So you get stronger, draws a card, but you're losing your energy, meaning you're not getting as high energy to play your things out, because most of the things in green is quite big. Then you got Gohan here, who and androids, they both have draw cards and they both have a way to boost themselves. So androids is once you're at 6 or more energy, during your turn you gain a 10k power boost, meaning you're a 30k leader offensively, which is really nice. And you got Gohan, who can use an activate battle once per turn by placing a card from your energy to your drop. They gave 50k power for the battle, so you can use this offensively, defensively, but you sack it off energy. But luckily for both Broly and Gohan, there are ways to there are some cards that you can put in your deck and play out to kind of mitigate this negative side of sacking off energy to make it so it's not as bad. So these are 3 leads, and this is more the beginner color, and we'll get into why that is now. So, first of all, we've got the identity of green, and the identity of green is ramping by gaining more energy, basically more and more energy, so you can play bigger things. And the faster you can get to your higher energy, the faster you can play out bigger things, and then turn the tide of the battle. And green is one of those ones where once you get rolling and get a huge amount of energy, your opponent can play out, and you can play out big things. It's hard to stop, and it's harder to fight back against because these big things hit hard and hit fast. So you've got 3 different kind of ways to ramp. You've got the generic one being Destructive Strength. This is a normal extra card how you start off. There's a few more other card ramps, but these are more the ones you start off with, like the lowest kind of forms of ramp that you can start your ramping with. Once you get higher ramping, you can get access to more things that ramp as well while putting bodies on the board. But these are the ones that start you off. So Destructive Strength is the one that anyone can play, which is just 3 more energy. And notice that the ramp is also requires 3 specific green energy. So this isn't relevant yet until we get multicolor leads, but currently they're just free cost. And this adds a top card of your deck to your energy. Now it isn't the best to add the top card of your deck to your energy, but it's necessary to actually get the ramp. Because by putting the top card of your deck to your energy, you don't get to see it, you don't get to choose it. It's just a top card of your deck as your energy, and then that card's your energy and you lost it. So if you get a super combo and you're big guys, you kind of lose one of those. But it's necessary to kind of get the ramp going, and basically what most of the early ramp does. So this is generic, and you can use it across all different leaders to basically ramp, because it's just easy to use, doesn't require any specific things, just to pay for energy and ramp the top card of your deck. Now the next 2, they are more specific to the leaders in the main set. So we have Trunks Future, which is more of a ramp card for Gohan, where it's got the 1 KO'd if your leader is Son Gohan Childhood, which is one of the leaders. You add a top card of your deck to your energy, so it does the same thing to Destructive Strength, but it puts a body on board that can kind of defend you, block a life, same kind of cost, but needs to be KO'd to trigger that, and is exclusive only to Gohan. And then you got Jiro's Lab, which is exclusive to the Android 17 lead, because it's a fill card, so it's more consistent ramp rather than the other ones, where they're one-time use. This one is a 1 ramp every turn, so it's a little bit slower than the other one, so a little bit slower to ramp, but it's more consistent. So once if you want to get going, it's slow, but it just means you ramp faster and more consistently than the rest. Whereas the other ones, you get one-time use, but then that's it. You got to use more. You got to find other cards that ramp, whereas this can do it every turn. Because all it needs you to do is pay 1 green energy and switch this card to rest mode. And then if your leader is the Android 17, which currently is that 1 Android leader we've got, you add 1 card with Android to the special traits to your drop area to your energy. So it does round heavily on the androids, but it's more consistent because you can always combo cards off to be able to, or if android cards you have on board are KO'd, you can have them in drop ready targets. So you can always have targets for it by either comboing defensively, defend yourself, or aggressively to push damage. So that's the identity ramp, is basically just ramping up to play big things and play out, and also about KOing. Like most of the effects in green are about KOing, so it's ramp and KO being the focus. And these are the things you're going to be ramping up into. You've got the boss cards, meaning like the late game finishers and the big things you're ramping to play. And you've got 1 for 6 energy, 1 for 7 energy, 1 for 8 energy, being like things that are mostly out of the range of the other colors when it comes to removal and dealing with. So you got androids being the double striker. Every color has a double striker, but fortunately for green, it's a SR in the main set, whereas an SR in the starter decks for the other ones. So every color has 1 double striker. But luckily for bigger boss cards in the game, they're balanced out by having no combo power. So you can have them in hand to use and drop, and they're powerful. They provide no potential combo power for aggression or defensive capabilities when you come to comboing. So it's a 40k 6 drop, so it's a 1 cost more and 5k stronger than most of the other double strikers, but then it's a double striker and green's ramping, so it doesn't matter too much on that front. And it's got a nice effect when it comes down, it KOs 2, 3 or less, so some removal its identity is ramping to get to play this, and then KOing when it comes down. Then you have a secret rare, probably being one of the stronger of the 2 secret rares we got so far. Because hopefully on set 2 we get a blue and a blue and a yellow secret rare. So that way it gives all colors a secret rare option. But for green, his one is a Gohan, basically a 7-drop, and it's more of a board wipe. It hits all the other colors apart from blue, every single card they have. Blue can kind of dodge it out by the Goku Black 6-drop, and it's not as useful against green because green plays higher than 5 costs. Because on players, you can discard a card from your hand, and discard a card from your hand to pay the cost, and then choose all your opponent's battle cards, and it costs 5 or less, KO them, but if you use this effect, you can't attack with it. So being a 50k, it's pretty strong, but then if you use the effect to wipe the board, which is most likely what you're playing it for, you don't get to attack with it, but you can at least deal with your opponent's board. And then you've got the 8-drop Broly, the thing that wins the mirror match, and, well, as long as you see more can win, might be the main thing to win a mirror match. And why it's a big costly card, it's a very strong card, because while you don't get a double striker in the starter decks, this was kind of like the difference in it being, because you're in a ramp color, you can get to this quite easily. As long as you keep ramping from turn 3 onwards, it gets to 8. You can get there soon enough to drop this and start pushing through, because there's 8 costs, so it's out the way of most effects that require a certain cost to kind of remove, which is outside most colors other than green. And 45k base is a very strong power, which is hard to run over, because then you've got to combo up quite a bit unless you play a big card. And kind of defending things from being removed by effects is harder to do than being removed by battle, because if you remove from a battle, you've got a chance to combo up and defend yourself for a combo power. And it's a very strong on play. It draws a card, so it gains your card back, replaces itself in hand, and then pops anything on your opponent's board. So you can choose any one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. Doesn't matter cost or anything like that. One of the rare cards to do it in the game. And it's kind of a dual attacker without having dual attack, because most of the effects and stuff kind of translate over from Masters, but they, instead of giving things dual attack, which is ones that can attack twice, or like triple attack, but it can attack 3 times, they've kind of put it into autos now. So this one has a 1 attacking once per turn, switches card active mode, meaning that when it does the same thing as what dual attack does in Masters, but when it attacks, it restands itself so it can attack again, or basically just be inactive so they can't attack into it. So very strong cards, what you're mainly playing up against. And green also has some other nice effects, being like some great cards. It's got a great extra card in Gigantic Meteor, which is like the 15k battle trick that every colors have, but this one has the extra benefit of they all have extra benefits, but for green, it's if you have 6 or more energy, it gives extra 10k power. So rather than the other ones be able to just go 15k and have a beneficial effect like minusing 5 for green, drawing a card for blue, minusing 5k for red, drawing a card for blue, and resting like 3 or less for yellow, you get to give an extra 10k power. I mean, for 1 energy, 25k power is pretty good. Especially when you can use offensively or defensively, it's a fantastic card. And you've got the Goku here being a way to kind of remove the negative of Broly and Gohan needing to sack off energy for their effects, by making it so if you do sack off an energy while this card is on board or when it's played, you play the top card of your deck in your energy and rest mode. But you need to watch out for this as well, because where it just hits the top card of your deck, you can potentially sometimes hit your super combos, your big cards, or things you don't want to hit your energy, which can kind of like give you a bit of RNG factor to kind of lose the game or lose out things you kind of wanted. And then the thing that was kind of in set 1 is because of the green, but then is no longer the thing when it gets set 2. This would be it's something that every colors potentially get, and that is Gohan being a way to heal. So currently, green has a way to be able to heal up to, well, so I'll have 8 life like every other color, but also heal up to 12. So I potentially have 12 life in the game, or even maybe go up to 16, depending if you use Android that kind of goes with this, that can recycle this. Because it's just when played, top card, add a top card of your deck to your life. So after you awakened, you can go up higher than 4 or whatever life you awakened at, because you can just heal this. And it's a big body, being 6 cost, meaning it's hard to remove outside of from effects, because it's 6 cost, unless it's red and with power reduction. And it's a 35k, meaning a big beat stick. So green has some really good tools, really nice big things, but then it's kind of it struggles in the earlier games if you can aggress it. So green is the best color to get into if you're starting to play the game, because it's very beginner friendly, in that you just need to put together basically just take it slow, attack, draw cards, ramp as quick as you can, get to a later game and start playing your big things late. So very simple, just ramp and then play your big things. Very beginner friendly, and it's why it does the best currently in the majority of games, because it's so easy to play, so simple to use, that it's a very good one that people can just pick up straight away and enjoy and do well with. And that brings us to the last color, being yellow. So the three leaders we got in yellow are Ginyu, Frieza, and Cooler. So Frieza being the starter deck lead, and Ginyu and Cooler being the ones in start deck. And likewise in yellow, as well as in blue and red, you have a crit leader, and that is in Cooler. So Cooler is the crit leader, meaning that he doesn't draw on the front side, but when he awakens, he draws from the from attacking when he's awakened. And Ginyu is the like Broly, who when he awakens ramps a card from his life rather than draw a card. He has a unique awakening where when you're at 4 or less life, you awaken by untap 1 energy and flipping over. So whereas Frieza and Cooler both draw a card when they awaken at 4 or less life, Ginyu untaps an energy, giving more energy to do more things, which becomes relevant considering its archetype being Ginyu Force going wide aggro. So yellow yellow features quite well because you have Cooler can push crit damage, and when it awakens, you can put more pressure by restanding things because it's one of the identities. Ginyu is all about pushing forward and going wide, and then be able to get like a ton of attacks, almost like a machine gun. And you got Frieza, which allows you to swing with things and restand it so it's protected and out of the way, because you can only attack into things that are rested unless an effect says otherwise. And Frieza allows you to attack with things, then restand them so they can then block, defend, or be comboed off and stuff like that. So those are the leaders for yellow, and the identity for yellow are essentially these 3 things. So mostly all colors have identity, like is only green that really is identity is ramping and destruction. Whereas for yellow is all about resting things, like basically switching things from active mode to rest mode, being upright like they are now, to sideways. You got yellow also allows you to restand things, so basically switching the position of cards after resting them or switching to active mode. And also the other part and the focus of its removal really is on locking things down. So you can either rest things, switch things back to active mode, or lock things down so they kind of frozen. And there's a fair few ways to do it. Now the boss cards in yellow, yellow is once again one of those colors that doesn't go quite high with the cost. Like the highest cost you can get for the game is 5 cost. So it means that with the Gohan in Secret Rare in green, you can kind of get your whole board wiped if you leave it long enough and it goes to that point. But you've got some really nice boss cards because you've got these 3 SRs that are pretty nice for like big things to kind of swing hard with. Like you got the Frieza here, which is a really nice one that just 40k for 4 energy. Also has combo power, which is a nice little benefit. But then it's got the negative where it can be switched to active mode during your charge phase. But luckily, if you put this with the Cooler lead, which has a way to discard to restand it, or with the leader of Frieza from the start deck, which allows you at the end of the turn to switch back to active mode, you can mitigate that negativity in its effect by still having then a 40k attacker to swing with each turn. Same thing comes with this Cooler. Not as strong as Frieza, being 30k instead of 40k, but no combo power. But it's got blockers, so it can be restood and then used as a handy way to defend yourself by blocking. But it's also got a really nice effect that triggers on both when it attacks and when it blocks, allowing you to choose any one of your opponent's battle cards, switch to rest mode, so anyone can switch to rest mode. But then if the card it chose has 2 costs or less, it KOs it. Even if that card wasn't switched to rest, but it was a 2 cost, it was already in rest, it was a 2 cost, it will still KO it. And it just has a nice way to kind of manage your opponent's board and also just disrupt by resting things, which is really good. And you got Frieza being the big bad double striker of the color, so it's double striker in Frieza, and it's a handy effect. Probably one of the stronger ones, I would say it's the best of the double strikers, but then it's between this one and the Androids one because it's a little bit stronger and it has a way to remove things on board. But this one has one that isn't a one-time use like the other double strikers. Their effects when played has a one-time use, whereas Frieza is basically used over and over again because it's an attack one, which is when it attacks, it chooses one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and makes it so it can't switch to active mode in your opponent's next turn. So that means even if they want to use an effect to switch it, they can't do it until the turn's over. So you can keep doing it over and over again. If you drop more, you can keep freezing more things down, and being such a high power is quite nice. It's a very good one for yellow and a very nice one to have. And plus, you're only double striker. But not only that, yellow has a flexible archetype in the Ginyu Force stuff that you can run across all of them, allows you to be more aggressive, and makes yellow a perfect way to kind of counter green if you struggle against green or dislike green. Because green has an issue with not being able to withstand very well aggro, and the Ginyu package, which is basically able to be splashed in any of the green and any of the yellow decks, because it doesn't really have a restriction on much. It's very easy to use, and it allows you to basically spam out a load of things on board and go wide and aggressive to kind of combat green before it gets to the late stages and starts playing its big things. Because you have this kind of package here that you can put in area 1, and if you play the Ginyu deck, you can run Ever Ginyu Force, because you have Raccoon here, which is a self-awakener, because one play you get added card from your life to your hand, which is really handy to help you awaken to get to your awakened side for your beneficial effect from your lead. And then when you play, you get to play one battle card where it costs a 2 or less, and Ginyu Force and special traits from your hand. So it means you get to play either this SR Ginyu or this Bertha from your hand, being 20k, which is perfect to hit most awakened leaders outside of Broly. and apply some pressure, and just basically get what's it, 5 energy worth of cards out for free energy. And if you play this SR Ginyu with a never freezes army on board before you play the Raccoon to play it out, you have an on play, which if you have 3 more battle cards with Freezer Army in the special traits, don't know why it's not Ginyu Force, it's Freezer Army, then you get to switch it to 2 energy active mode, and then you can't play Ginyu for the turn. So you can't play any more Ginyu, specifically the character Ginyu for the turn, but you do get to play Raccoon out, play this Ginyu. If you've got another 2 Riku and another Freezer Army on board, you get untap 2 energy, meaning you've got 5 energy worth of cards for 1 energy, and you get to play more things to kind of like expand your board, go wide, and just keep hitting hard to like flush your opponent with a fury of attacks. And this is really nice, like really good in Ginyu Force, because it can use the effect of the Ginyu leader to basically pay free energy, ditch 2 cards from your hand to restand all your Ginyu Force, meaning you can get swing with each of these, and then restand them again to get another a few attacks in. And with them being able to attack 20k leaders for when they're awakened, and making sure they have to combo card if they want to take out combo the attack, means you can wilt your opponent's hand down and they'll lose the hand very fast, very quickly. But not only that, Yellow does have some really nice battle tricks as well. It's like some good extra cards. He's got 3 nice ones for Ginyu Force, being not just Bonds here, but you've also got the Draw 1 and Crushable, and Body Change as well, being some very handy ones. Ginyu Force have the really nice ones that are all switchable for some of his archetype as well. And for this, you've got ones that are mainly for each character as well. So you've got Death Ball, which comes in the starter deck, which is like a good one for Freezer, which every color has, being the 15k for 1 energy kind of battle trick. And its beneficial effect is when you can choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less, which is the rest mode. Meaning you can potentially outcombo 1 attack and prevent another attack by switching a card that can attack to rest mode, and disrupt even like combo power of things on board, like even swing and like tap down some blockers, cards that could be used as combo to kind of disrupt while putting some power behind that swing. And then you've got Supernova on the far right, being the one that's kind of themed for Caller, which is a more aggressive battle trick. This is only usable during your turn, and it allows you to give 20k power, like we've seen like Final Hope Slash and Black Kamehameha, but like an aggressive one like Final Hope Slash. So it gives like super combo level power offensively rather than defensively, and then you get a beneficial effect of allowing you to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards that is in rest mode with energy of 4 less, and keep it locked down. So like Yellow's kind of removal is all about kind of locking things down so it can't be used or stuck in rest mode. So it doesn't really remove things, but it keeps things locked down and frozen. And this is a nice one that does it outside of things like Guldo and your Double Striker, Freezer. And then you've got Bonds. This can be like this could potentially, depending how you play it and how much Ginyu Force you play, could be one of the best battle tricks because it's a unique one. Like it only gives 10k power, like on its own it only gives 10k power. It only like activate battle, that gives you 10k power to a battle card or a leader card that's in battle for just that battle. But it gets an extra benefit which can rack up a lot depending on how much Ginyu Force you play, because then along with that 10k you can also give an extra 5k power to that card for the battle for each Ginyu Force in its special traits among your leader and battle area. So if you're playing the Ginyu lead, that's all like where if you're playing just a Cooler and Freezer, it's a minimum of 10k. If you're playing Ginyu as the lead, it's a minimum of 15k, so it's almost like Death Ball, just without that benefit of resting stuff. But if you're playing a lot of Ginyu Force, you get an extra 5k. So say you've got 3 Ginyu Force on board with Cooler or Freezer, that's an extra 25k for 1 energy in the swing, so almost like the green one. And if you're playing Ginyu with like an Error 3 on board, that's an extra 30k for 1 energy on a swing, which means when you're going for game and trying to push through damage, you can use one of this to put a lot of extra power in the swing, which is a lot of combo power your opponent's going to use to defend yourself, and it's just very, very good. So that is all the this is more of a more intermediate, like a more complex color as well. I'll say this is one of the more complicated colors because you've got loads of different combos you can use. It can be quite simple, it can be quite complicated. So you can be quite simple with going like wide aggressive with Ginyu. You can be more complicated in like how you're going to sequence, like what cards you're going to use, what combos you're going to do, like resting, how you're going to sequence your turn. But it's a very rewarding one and very fun to get into. Like if you're interested in more complicated strategies or complicated plays, then Yellow is a good one to pick up, but it's not the most beginner friendly compared to like Green. So hopefully that's helped you out and let you more fully understand the colors in the Fusion world, and hopefully it could be useful for you. If you do have any comments regarding this, feel free to drop them below, or if you have suggestions about the things to help new players, drop them below as well. And that'll be all from me today. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.